Mm-mm. Yay. Okay, okay, okay. I am live, and now I need glasses because I can't see. Okay, there we go. We live. We're wiping the forehead. We're wiping the shine off of our forehead because we are live. Well, good afternoon, Instagrams. I haven't been live. I know, right? I haven't been live on Instagram in a really, it's been a minute since I've been live on Instagram. Hey, IG, first in the building. Facebook and YouTube. Hi to y'all whenever you pop on. I am not staying on a super long time. I was this morning up and about thinking and things, and I said, you know what, I'll do this live this afternoon before I go to the doctor. So this is my pre-doctor appointment live. So let me do this right because Instagram ain't had a live in a minute. Hi, I am Ianifa Dania Faomi Shango. I am an Ifa priestess and spiritual awakening doula for the African American diaspora, and I specialize in my Gen Xers. And I was thinking about that a lot yesterday afternoon. And so I was thinking about traditions and evolution and dogma and things like that, and what that meant to me and how I avoid that in my own personal practice. So, most people know at this stage in the game that I was not raised as a Christian. I was raised as an Israelite, which comes with its own set of dogma and rules, regulations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I have not said that I'm like not an Israelite. That's where I was raised, that's my family. And so I still have that connection there. But in terms of what has made me most feel connected to the source, it has literally been going closer towards spirituality and cultivating my own religion. And I feel like that's important for me to say it in that way because a lot of people come into spirituality say, I'm not religious anymore. And what I would challenge you to do is look up the word religion. Religion doesn't mean Christianity. Religion doesn't mean Islam. Religion doesn't mean any Judaism. That's not what religion means. Those are but fruit off of a tree that is religion. So, religion simply means that you have a belief system, a structure that is that recognizes a higher power. That's literally all it means. It means that you recognize there are things working in this world that are bigger than you on your journey. So when you think about spirituality, spirituality literally means that you have an awareness of spirit. You have an awareness of the unseen. You have an awareness of the intangible. So those two things go together. Those two things go together. You can absolutely be both spiritual and religious. In fact, you should be both spiritual and religious. Spirituality should not have been taken away from religion. And unfortunately, most organized religions, that's what's happened. They have removed spirit from there. They have removed spirit from religion. So that connection to seeing God in the trees, that connection to seeing the divine in the clouds. I mean, like if you are in Augusta, have you seen the clouds today? Like I just want to lay on top of my car and look at the clouds because they are absolutely so beautiful. They are full. And I'm just, yo, who does the creator cloud duty today? Because the clouds are doing what they're supposed to do. The clouds are giving today. And what spirituality does is it lets me see God in the clouds. It lets me acknowledge the creator had a hand in tapping someone and saying, hey, go make some real pretty, fluffy, soft looking clouds up there today. And so they did. And it was good. And so when I say that I am religious and spiritual, I'm like, well, what is your religion? Self love. That's my religion. Self love. Because self love itself is inherently an act of worship. Self love means that I am honoring the creation that I am made by the creator. I am also honoring myself as an emanation of the creator. A lot of traditions see the sun as the source, like they were the sun, the luminary is the reflection of God in a lot of indigenous traditions' eyes. So then you think about the sun rays. The sun rays are still of the sun. They're still of the sun. And so all of these rays emanating from the sun are also the sun. They're not the sun. The sun rays are called sun rays. We're all simply sun rays. That's pretty. We're all simply sun rays. We have the source as the sun, and we are sun rays. Like that sun ray hits you, it's still gonna burn. If you got hit by a sun ray directly, you still gonna just like as if you went directly into the heart of the sun, you're gonna spontaneously combust. It is the same thing. It's the same thing. So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about traditions, regardless of faith walk or anything like that, thinking about traditions versus dogma. And so when it comes to things like traditions and dogma, what we have to, especially if you're someone that considers yourself being spiritual, is not get sucked into turning your tradition into dogma. Not get sucked into turning your tradition into dogma. Most indigenous practices, whether they are African, Native American, whatever indigenous practice most indigenous practices leave room for individualized expression with the creator. If the Most High did not want to have an individualized experience in experiencing God, then God would not have made all of these individuals. There would not be several billion of us all individually expressing. Even in Orisha tradition, each Orisha tradition is different. Not only is each tradition different, each lineage within the tradition is different. And that is because in Orisha tradition, there's an awareness that you can't know God in totality. It's impossible. You can't know God in totality. Thus, the individuality in the way that certain things are going to manifest in each tradition is going to be unique. It doesn't mean that it's the wrong way, it just means it is a way. It just simply means that it is a way. This is a way in which the divine is communicating and manifesting through these individuals. There are all these billions of ways in which these traditions are going to manifest and show themselves. But what happens is when we get into that dogma, it's like there's only one way. Dogma says there's only one way to get it done. And traditions evolve, traditions grow, traditions are nuanced for the family, the lineage, and the individual. And you think about your Christmas dinners, and you think about your Thanksgiving dinners, and you think about all these family gatherings that may have looked the way that they looked when you were at home, when you were a kid. And then as you've grown up and you've gotten older and you've cultivated your own family, then you're starting to nuance those things. It's not that they're completely different, but you are nuancing them to become your own tradition. You're cultivating your own traditions. You're cultivating your own practice. You're birthing something new because traditions aren't meant to stay stagnant. They're meant to grow. They're meant to evolve. This is why oral traditions happen the way they do, because that way the stories can grow, they can evolve, and thus they can ascend into a higher expression because they're not stuck in where they were previously. Some stories, some traditions, some things were put in place as a means of protection. Some stories, some traditions were put into place as a means for protection. But if that protection isn't needed in the same way, that means the medicine must be changed. The medicine must evolve. The medicine must shift so that it can still be received and be effective. If you're not allowing yourself to grow and evolve and move out of dogma and move out to nuancing things for your own tradition, then it will become stale, and then it will become stagnant, and then it will be inauthentic, and it will not be yours. It will not be your relationship with your divine team, with your spiritual connection. It will be somebody else's. That's their connection. You learn from those connections and then allow yourself to see how you can use what you've learned to cultivate and create your own wisdom and how you can build your connection. You can do the same thing as someone else all day. It's the same thing, all these different ways to manifest. But if you don't know yourself, you don't know how you got to learn how you manifest. You could see all these videos about the 369 method, and you're trying the 369 method and it don't work for you. Why? Because that's not the medicine for you. That's not the medicine. 369 method is simply a way. That there is no the way. There's only a billion a ways. There is no the way. So when you're thinking about it in that way and you're like, this one is not working for me, but then you speak something out loud and it happens within 5 minutes. Well, why did that happen and this didn't happen? Because the 369 method is not yours. This is yours. This is your medicine. This is your magic. This is your ashe. This is how you connect and thus evoke and create and cultivate and build that relationship with your team and build that relationship so that you can manifest the life that you desire. But that one also starts with having a tradition that is rooted in the self, having a tradition that says, hey, before you go to this, that, the other, you got to come to you. That's got to be the first place that you go. You have to come to a place where you are sitting there and learning who you are. What is your makeup? What were you born to do? What kind of careers align to you? What kind of people align to you? Your communication style, your love language, all of these things are nuanced specifically for you. You can meet several people who will say words of affirmation are their number one love language, but how they receive words of affirmation, how they express words of affirmation is still going to be individualized for those particular people. It is the same for traditions. Traditions are still going to be individualized for those people because the way this person receives word is not going to be the same way the other person receives word. So after you get that relationship with yourself and you get that relationship with your higher self and your Ori, your star, whatever your tradition calls it, you're also getting a relationship with your ancestors because you are your ancestors. You are their blood, you are their bones, and they can see from a higher perspective. So even the things that they did in the tradition may then come through you in a completely different way. And thus they will help guide you in how to manifest it in your way. They are not looking for you to be them. They are looking for you to be you. They're looking for you to be yourself and have a oneness with your spiritual team that is authentic to them. They may have had to sit outside and sit in the middle of their yard in order to feel that oneness with spirit, where you get yours driving down the road in the car. Well, why didn't they get it? Because they didn't have a car. They didn't have a car. So they could not have established a oneness with spirit driving the car because they didn't have one. Duh. And that's the thing that sometimes we forget. And sometimes we go into a spiritual practice and we start emulating the wounds and the pain and the hurt that we got from our Abrahamic roots because we're like, well, it has to be this way. Why? Well, because your ancestors used what they had. What do you have? Your ancestors used what they had. What do you have? What is it that you have? Do you have something different? Is it effective? That's the question. What do you have and is it effective? What do you have and is it effective? See, you're looking to make it look like what someone else is doing when it's supposed to look like what are you doing? It's supposed to look like what are you doing? That is what triggers you to have a conscious spiritual awakening is because you have been trying to connect to the source in a way that is authentic to this person, that person, what you read in the book, what you've seen in the video. And when you have a conscious spiritual awakening, your creator is saying, I don't want you to connect to me like them. I want you to connect to me like you. I want you to put the book away. I want you to leave the building. I want you to leave the people. You can take what they gave you. The wisdom they had is useful. It is useful in that you can transmute it into your own wisdom. You can transmute it into your own practice. You can transmute it into your own journey. You are not meant to be a clone of the other person. You are meant to be a student who learns and a student will take the knowledge given and then, okay, this is how I'm going to process this. I would work I worked in customer service for the longest, and they had all these processes for doing things. And a lot of times I would read the process and I'm like, why y'all make this so complicated? Why? Why is it so complicated? And then I would rewrite the process. It still works. it's still effective. The medicine, the resolution still comes about, but it comes about in a different way. It comes about in a simpler way. It comes about easier. And I'm all about aligning to ease. And sometimes, even when we take away the dogma of organized religion, we still expect our connection to the Most High to be hard when it is not. Go outside and say, hey, sit in your room and say, hey, just say, hey. Well, what do I call the creator? Whatever you want. Whatever you want. What would you like the creator to be? How would you like your relationship with the Most High to look? How would you like that relationship to feel? Do you want to feel afraid of the creator that is embodying your body? Let me say that again. Is your relationship such that you want to feel fear every time you think about the creator that created you? Is that what you want? Nobody wants to fear their parents. You definitely don't want to fear yourself. And you ain't nothing but an emanation of the source. Just happen to hang about in a physical vessel. Why would you want to be afraid of you? So then you have to decide, what is it that you want that relationship to look like? When you are still using terms like they'll be mad at you, they'll be angry with me, you are still carrying over the wounds and trauma of an Abrahamic tradition that told you if you mess up, God is going to be mad at you. You are still carrying the wounds and the trauma of an Abrahamic tradition that told you God is going to be angry with you. The last thing God wants to do is be angry with you. God simply wants you to be you, all of you, all of the you that God embodied you to be. That is what the Creator wants. That is how you ascend. That is how you evolve. That's how you shift your energy from a place of lack to a place of plenty, because you lack nothing. My ears are ringing like you lack nothing. You have all that you need in you and in your spiritual bank account. And you simply have to find the tools, the mechanisms, the keys to unlock it so it leaves your spiritual bank account and comes into your physical reality. How can you take it out of your spiritual bank account and bring it into your physical reality? When you are Generation X, we were latchkey kids. Like, we would come home from school and we would do what we needed to do, like open the door. Some of us had to cook dinner, some of us had to help our siblings with homework. We oh It's not that we didn't have elders. Mm. Our relationship with them was different. I'm going to think about that later. It's not that we didn't have elders. Our relationship with them was different. Some of us had elders who were very, very strict. And thus, we expect that from our spiritual team. That's how we feel like it has to happen. It has to be strict. It has to be structured. It has to be regimented. Where some of us had elders who were not so strict, who were kind of free spirited, and who in themselves were also breaking generational cycles. So if you're a child of someone who was also breaking generational cycles, 9 times out of 10, you're breaking even more cycles as one of their kids. And thus you don't want the strict. You need the fluidity and flexibility and the movement within your practice, within your relationship with the divine, so that you can find those places that feel like bottlenecks and shatter the bottle. Mm. Yeah, I didn't think about that this morning. That's just now. Just now. I encourage you to pay attention to when you are in a space in your spiritual walk where you're feeling like you want to tell somebody, well, that can't possibly work because that's for you. That's for you. If you're something here, that means it's for you. That means it's for you. If it was for them, then their spiritual team would have told them to do so. It's for you. It's for you. And being able to allow people to have the freedom of their expression. And it's not that a lot of times it comes from a very genuine place of wanting people to be safe. And there is a way to communicate that without it sounding like dogma. There's a way to communicate to people how to stay protected, to ensure that they're connecting to their energies in a way that is safe, that they're minding their mind, body, and spirit when they're doing this work without it coming across like they just went to church. But some people, that's what they come across as. It's like they went to church and they're getting, they're in some, certain tradition, getting their hand hit by a ruler because you used this herb, they used that herb. Both herbs have a similar vibration because they didn't use the same herb you used, they're wrong. We have to be careful about that. We have to be careful about that. When you are, and you have to decide, like, how do you want your practice to be? Because that will also determine the mentorship, the elders, and things that you gravitate towards. I knew that certain traditions were not for me because they had rules like women can't be priests. And I was like, negative. That ain't for me. And it wasn't because I wanted to be a priest, but I also did not want to be limited simply because of my gender. I also did not want to be limited simply because of my gender. So there goes that we ain't with we're not with it. So when my elder manifests as a woman, a beautiful, strong, powerful, gentle, nurturing, caring, intelligent, silly, funny woman. My Elode has this beautiful balance of feminine and masculine energy. And that is what I was working on. That is what I needed. And then to be surrounded by absolutely nothing but womb holders. All of my God siblings that crowned with me are womb holders, every single one. And that is a beautiful thing. That is a unique thing. I'm yet to see anyone say they have that. And it's not that at some point I don't want God brothers. That would be dope. And I'm cool with the fact that I have plenty of men that I know who are in the tradition that I think of like brothers. Men that I respect and I watch their content. But for me, what I needed was a space to where I could be as powerful as I needed to be, and that my destiny would unfold as it needed to be. And what I also love is when my Elode teaches me something, she doesn't teach it to me like this is the only way to get this done. I always feel safe and secure in okay, now that my Elode has taught this to me this way, let me see how I'm gonna funk it out for myself. And it's not to knock what she did because there are a lot of things I do almost identical, but I know that I can get it done. And I'll do divination. That's the thing about it. I go to my shrine. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. Can you tell me if this is right? And spirit will tell me clear yes or no, like, yeah, this is right or no, or I might need to add this or I might need to do that. And then once I get it all the way done, is this complete? All right, take notes. It's in my books and my journals, so I refer back to it. I'm like, okay. And somebody might come along and like, I don't do that anyway, like you did. Well, that's okay. Because my spiritual team said, this is how I need to do it. This is how I need to get the job done. And that's what my Elode taught me. It's like, you have the tools. You have the tools. You have the resources to not simply just learn, but learn what is this going to look like for you? What does your practice look like for you? It is not supposed to look like mine. It's supposed to look like yours. This is your connection with your spiritual team, building your relationship so that you grow, so that you evolve, so that you further progress in your authenticity and stop trying to be like somebody else. And stop trying to be like somebody else. You ain't got to dress like a certain way or anything like that to be authentic in your. You just have to dress like you. You have to look like you. Wear what you need for you. What medicine, what tools, what resources do you need in order to not get trapped in dogma and simply cultivating your own traditions? I feel fortunate. I feel fortunate because sometimes I talk to people and they don't have that kind of relationship with their spiritual team. They don't have a relationship where it's like talking to friends. It's very regimented. They're checking off boxes. I make sure certain things are included, but it doesn't feel like I'm checking off boxes. I enjoy ritual. I love ceremony. These things are fun to me. And I am honored that my spiritual team lets me grow and cultivate and work my magic in the way that is going to feel right for me. So that is what I wanted to share. Like I said, I haven't been on Instagram in a minute. I mean, I'm on Instagram, I post and things like that, but I hadn't done a live on Instagram in a minute. So I wanted to make sure I did this and I shared it on my Facebook in the tubes of you. So inspired action, because that's what I do. We do inspired actions around here. So inspired action. If you are someone that considers yourself, whether you're religious, spiritual, whatever the case may be, are you in a space where you are operating in dogma, or are you cultivating your own tradition? And are you allowing your traditions to evolve, or making them stay stale and stagnant? Just self-check and take it from there. But I'm getting ready to go. I have to go. I don't know why I did this. Clearly, I'm not wearing a watch, but I sure did because there's something on my wrist. My clock's right there. But anyway, I'm gonna get ready to go to my doctor appointment. Thank y'all so much again for watching, whether you watch live or the playback, and I hope you have a good day. Take care.